I never expected that we would last that long. I thought maybe 4, 5, 6 years, and now it's over 30 years. And
Dorothy Pesch can look back at a really unique journey in the music business. It's a 35-year anniversary in music. DORO, in numbers this means gold and platinum awards for around 10 million sold records, over 2,800 live shows on 4 continents and in 60 different countries of this world, 16 studio records and 4 DVDs, countless cover stories on all important music magazines and millions of overwhelmed fans from around the globe. She gives a short interview for Impromptu and tells us about her first gig and plans for the future.
We celebrated our 30th anniversary all over the world for 1 year, and it was so cool. And we did a DVD, which took a long time to do it. It's called Strong and Proud, like Strong and Proud, 30 years of rock and metal. And sometimes when I looked at it, I thought, wow, is that really us? And
we are the Majorists. Take the class, but we did that. We are the Majorists. Don't it sound like you? It's our lovers too. We are the Majorists.
I remember when I started music, there were some older musicians, like, maybe 2, 3 years older than us, and they always said, man, the kindergarten band. And then the kindergarten band got a record deal, and everybody got so mad. And sometimes I still feel like, the kindergarten band, I still feel really young, definitely young in my heart. I think metal and music, it keeps you going, keeps you alive, gives you so much energy. And it's great. But it's sometimes like, wow, I can't believe it myself. It's so many years, so many records, and going all over the world. That's wow. I think you can only do it with music. I had a band, before Warlock I was in a couple of other bands, and my first band was called Snakebite. And then there was a guy, coming into our rehearsal room, and he said, hey, you guys want to do a gig? And we said, well, what is that? He said, well, you just do what you do in your rehearsal room, just in front of some people. We thought, okay, and then, I think the guy said, you get $50, like, 50 Deutschmarks. Yeah. And then we thought, okay, we always were short on money, so we thought, yeah, let's do it. And then we did a gig, and it was in a punk club. And back then, heavy metal people and punk people, they didn't mix well. There was always some huge fighting going on. So it was in a pure punk club, and there were 120 punks, a couple of our friends, and metalheads, like maybe 20, 30 metalheads. And then there was a riot going on, and there was one punk, and he was pointing a gun at me the whole time, and he looked really mean, aggressive. The guy looked so scary. So a couple of like songs later, like 10 songs later, he passed out because he was drinking. And then they gave me the gun. I said, hey, Doro, here, it's loaded. It was loaded the whole time. I said, oh, thank you very much. And then the punks, they were fed up with our music, and then they came on stage, grabbed the guitars, destroyed everything, the drum set, the Marshall stacks. Yeah, and then when they were done with it, then I said, oh, now you guys go on, finish the gig. And then we finished the gig. The guitar players, I think, with 1 string left, 2 strings left. Yeah, and then we finished our gig, and then I thought, wow, man, we survived it. That was amazing. And I thought, that's okay, that's how you do a gig. And I expected it would be every time like that, but it was just the first time like this. Very sick before I started music, so my parents were so happy that, you know, I'm okay and that I survived. And I was 1 year in a hospital, so my parents thought, okay, whatever, you know, makes her happy, we will support it. And my dad was a truck driver, so I always asked him if he could schlep, you know, and drive our equipment. And then, you know, he said, yeah, you know, but I think he came to love the music a couple of years later, you know. I think when we had our ballads, like Deep Inside My Heart für immer, on the Triumph and Agony album, he loved that song. I still love it. And then he said, yeah, it really sounds like music. So, you know, but they were very supportive. Yeah.
Für immer zusammen werden uns niemals trennen, uns niemals trennen.
And then suddenly we got record deals, like 4 record deals with independent labels. Yeah, and then we chose Mausoleum. It was a Belgium label because they had the coolest logo. They had like 2 drops of blood on each M, you know, Mausoleum. And it looked metal. And then we thought, okay, let's do it. We had no idea. We had no idea about business. We just wanted to play. Yeah, and then we did our first record. And then it came out. I thought maybe we will sell like 100 records to our friends and family members and boyfriends and girlfriends. And then, yeah, suddenly it was, I think within 1 month it sold 25,000 units. And we thought, how come that anybody knows about our band, you know? And then, yeah, and then it became bigger and bigger. And then we played many festivals. And then we went on, our second record was with Polygram, the Hellbound album. And then the third one was True Steel. And then we could go on tour with Judas Priest, which they were our heroes. And that was when I quit my job. I had a day job. I was a graphic artist. Yeah, and then we played the legendary Monsters of Rock festivals in Germany and in England. It was Castle Donington. It was the biggest festival at the time. It's something like, in these days, like Wacken, something what is really meaningful, where everybody goes. And then all the journalists and agencies and record companies said, hey, you know, they were okay. And the fans were like going crazy. After '86, we went to America. I did a promotion tour. It was our first record release. Because of the Monsters of Rock festival, everybody said, okay, let's give that band a whole worldwide record release. We always wanted to go to America. It was a dream of every young band in the '80s. So I went to New York for the first time for 3 days. And then after 2 days, I thought, oh man, I want to stay. I was so blown away. We did our Triumph and Agony album, which I think till this day it's one of our best records, with Für immer on it, All We Are, I Will Ruins. And Cozy Powell played drums on it. It was a great record. And then we went on tour with Ronnie James Dio in Europe, which was a dream come true. Ronnie was always my favorite singer in the world. And so we were so lucky. Like, first tour Judas Priest, second tour Ronnie James Dio. Then in England we toured with Wasp and Blackie Lawless. It was going great. And then I had 2 managers, one in America who was actually from Switzerland, and but he had an American passport, and our German manager. And then suddenly my American manager, he said, well, the German manager wants to leave. He wants to quit. And I thought, oh no. And we never could sit down and talk about it. And then he left and he went to Turkey, which back then you could never find anybody in Turkey. There was no internet, no cell phones. And that was pretty bad. You know, he totally left us hanging. it was really bad, we didn't know what was going on, like financially it was all a mess, and he was the merchandiser, so he wanted to make sure, selling the merchandising. And then we were doing the next record. It was Force Majeure. After Triumph and Agony, everything went well, and suddenly we got a letter from the lawyer that we can't use the name Warlock anymore, that he owns the rights to the name Warlock, the old manager. He had nothing to do with the name, but he claimed it was his name. And then we went to court, and I thought, it's a joke, because, it's our name, it's the band's name. Yeah, and then the judge, there was something fishy going on, because there was another band called Warlock, they were country, and then the old manager said, okay, we have to make sure that the name Warlock belongs to us, and then we have to go somewhere, and then, you have to sign. And then he had all our passports, and he said he would sign the name Warlock in all our names, and since he had our passports, we thought, okay, we were on tour. Yeah, and then he just did it in his name. And then the judge said, well, that's another thing, and I was yelling and screaming in the courtroom, but he got the rights to the name, and it took me 20 years to get the rights back. Yeah, it's DORO, and many people don't even know anymore about our history. Like many young people, they heard about it maybe, but but now it's it's so much later. But I still now have the name Warlock, so we could do something with it. But some of the old Warlock members, they gave up music. They were so completely fed up with the music business and stuff, and some of them they don't play anymore. So a Warlock reunion would be not possible with the original lineup, First we started we thought, okay, let's, fuck it, we will do it anyhow. We put some posters up, and then, it was a big problem, you had to pay a fine of 50,000 euros if, somebody would see the name. So, we had to wait it out, and, and then I always wanted to make music, always wanted to, to do records, touring. So it took a long time, but it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking for the fans, totally heartbreaking for me, and I couldn't understand. And it was really, welcome to the music business, that people around you, they're not only taking care of the music or liking the music, they want to take care of business. And that was the first time that we were really surprised that, that even a little bit success can change people's mind, that they can go crazy. And so that was, But I heard it happened to many bands. It's almost common, there's always, some stuff coming up, when you just want to play, and as a musician, you only concentrate on the music, on the show, on the fans, all the stuff behind you. All the business aspects, you usually don't really know about it, or you don't really take care of it. And when you're on tour, you can't take care of it, I always live day to day, going in the tour bus or plane or train, and, and then making sure the band puts on a great show, that the fans, get, the ultimate power, But, so that was the reason why it's DORO. I never intended that. It was all great. Every time was an honor with Udo Dirkschneider or Taya or Pete Steele, who's unfortunately not alive anymore. We just did a great collaboration with Amon Amarth, the new album, Yom's Viking. There's one song on it, it's called A Dream That Cannot Be. think Johan, the singer, is a great guy. He reminds me a little bit on James Hetfield of Metallica. He has that same energy. And my first and favorite was probably Lemmy. Yeah, there was like, I loved Lemmy. I knew him since 1984.
Give me your hand, don't you ever ask why. Promise we nothing, live till we die. Everything changes, it all stays the same.
And my first time working with Lemmy was in 2000 on the Calling the Wild album, and it was awesome. We did 2 songs in LA, and every day was great. You know, we were driving around in the car for hours and hours, talking, singing, and then at night we went into the studio and we became best friends. We were always friends before, but that time, like the collaboration, and it took like 2-3 weeks, and it was awesome. And yeah, and the last duet we did in LA as well. It was for the last record, Raise Your Fist. It was called It Still Hurts. I love that song, and we always, when we give our last encore, then the tape is playing It Still Hurts, and then I think he's very soulful on that song. He was a very soulful guy. He looked all like mean and real heavy, but very, very, very soulful, big heart. Record, I write as many songs as I can, and then whatever comes out. Even from our first album, Burning the Witches, it had 2 ballads on. It was Without You, that was actually the first single. Without You was the first single, and Burning the Witches was the B-side. It was back then vinyl, and we would play Without You in every concert for Lemmy. And I love it both. I love it extreme, I love it hardcore, and I love it super, super sensitive and soulful. And ballads like Deep Inside My Heart, Für Immer, and that's a song we always play in every concert. But I love anthems as well, like All We Are or Raise Your Fist. And between anthems, hard and fast songs, and super sensitive ballads. I like the whole spectrum, whatever is pure, whatever has power. And sometimes the ballads, they can have so much emotional power.
I see the writing on the wall. I fear it's over and over, no. It's when love's gone to hell.
I would say I like to start with like the Raise Your Fist line. I always think like, I want to do another Triumph and Agony record, Raise Your Fist. That will be probably the guideline. We did 1 song already for Lemmy. The work title is called Living Life to the Fullest. And we have a couple of other songs, and it is between super hard and some anthems and so I don't know if it will be heavier. Each song, stands on its own, So, the whole record should be like, it should be very well balanced between great melodies, great riffs, great lyrics, what people, feel it lifts them up or it empowers them, And sometimes, soulful lyrics on a ballad, that's, it's good. And sometimes just a rock song, with a great riff, great melody is cool. But I like the whole spectrum. So I would say, we're in the middle of writing new songs and it's going really well. And I think between, Raise Your Fist and Triumph and Agony, and so when we do a good gig and when I feel there's so much good energy coming back. I love the fans with all my heart, and I feel that love comes back, and it's so it's so uplifting, so empowering, and it gives you power. Even when I'm sick, like when we are on tour, because somebody has a cold, I always catch a cold easy, especially when you're with 20 people in the tour bus, or when you talk to people. And then, before the gig, I always think, oh man, I can't do it. And then when I'm on stage, everything is like, great. Voice is always there. It was never gone. Even before and afterwards, you think, you can't even talk. But yeah, it's from the people, and it's the energy of the people, the heart, the soul. I tell you, every day is like a new day. Every day is challenging. Every concert and getting an award. Sometimes it is overwhelming because usually I concentrate on doing stuff, and giving out energy, and trying to make people happy. And then when you get something back, it's like, it's very, it's not that often, and made me very happy. And